Today I'm going to show you how to replace the screen on the Toshiba Satellite L735 laptop. Doing this on behalf of ScreenCountry.com. The only tools required for this will be 2 flathead mini screwdrivers, 1 Phillips mini screwdriver, and tweezers, just in case. Because the laptop has to come apart into many pieces, I like to take apart the things that are easy to begin with. And now at this point there's 1 screw here to hold the hard drive in. Once that is out, you just simply slide the hard drive away from its connectors. Like that, and then it'll lift out. The RAM comes out quite simply. It's not 100% necessary to take this out, but I like to, just so I don't damage it while I'm working on the laptop. There's 2 releases on each side of the RAM. You push those outward, the RAM will lift up. As for the CD drive inside, there's 1 screw right here. It's kind of just in the center of the CD-ROM, directly back. When that screw comes out, the CD drive just slides out, like so. So the next step I take will be to undo every single screw on the bottom of the laptop, and there's multiple. I can see at least probably 10 on the bottom of this laptop. And they're always kind of deep inside of a hole, and they're all around the laptop, so you have to keep an eye to make sure you get every single one on the bottom side. Now that all the screws have been removed from the bottom, I'm going to remove the keyboard. This is done by finding the keyboard screws underneath this strip above the F function keys. And as you loosen it off, it will just pop out of its plastic rivets. Now that piece is out, and it will show us 2 screws right here. Once those screws come out, laptop keyboard will lift out. Just want to show you the clip underneath that will release its cable. It's hard to see from that side, but if you kind of just let the keyboard do a 180, it kind of exposes the clip style here. It's a ribbon style that sometimes these black parts here will just pop towards myself here, but in this case they actually just lift up kind of like a door, like they're on a hinge. So there's that one just popped up and releases this cable. Now that the keyboard's removed, the idea is to kind of take off the aesthetic plate. There's a couple of screws here that are underneath the keyboard. I see 2, 3, so you want to make sure you take those out, and then this top part is going to lift off. It's going to lift off, but it's going to be kind of popped in with the plastic rivets around the edges here, so you just kind of be a bit firm with it, but not too hard to break it, and you'll get it to come apart. Now that the aesthetic plate is loose, I'm just going to have to undo a couple of cables underneath it before it can be removed. The power button here has a cable underneath, and as well the touchpad has a cable that goes here. Now this one's quite similar to the keyboard. You just pop it up like a hinge, like a door, and it should pull out just like so. And then for the power button, its cable actually runs to right there. Just want to pull it, and then it comes loose, and that allows the plate to come off. At this point here, I want to detach the LCD and its panel away from the main motherboard area. And a couple of things has to be done before you do that. One of them would be to remove the data cable. This cable here runs inside the LCD panel and actually sends the image there. As well, the wireless antennas for Wi-Fi are running through the back of the panel. So that's this chip here. 1 screw on the chip, and then it will come out similar to the RAM. And like I said, this data cable here will just kind of squeeze out similar to how that power cable did a few minutes ago. Now that the cables are all disconnected, it's safe to take the LCD panel off of the main board now. There's 2 screws here on the hinges, and there's 2 screws over here on the hinges. So I now have all the screws out, and you can see that the LCD panel just lifts up. It was only 2 screws there and 2 screws there holding it in. At this point, I'll just move the motherboard away, and we've got the goods, the part that we need to work on. In the four corners of the LCD panel, you're going to find these little, they might be hard to see on the camera, but little kind of circles. Underneath there, there's going to be a screw, and this looks similar to this one. It's already off. The trick to get these ones off is that little flathead that we were using earlier. You kind of push down on one side of it on the very edge, and it's going to pop out the other side. And when that other side's popped out, it'll come out and expose the screw. All four screws are out now, and similar to how we took off the aesthetic plate on the laptop portion, on the LCD panel it's the same thing. This is just an aesthetic plate, so we're going to just snap them apart along the edges firmly but carefully. You don't want to be breaking any plastic. The LCD screen here is now exposed, and there is a ribbon cable on the back of this as well. You want to be careful as you're lifting this off to not tear it away. There is some glued ribbon underneath that you can sneak at and look and pull off. But once that's done, that's actually going up to the webcam. Once you've done that, you should be able to kind of do a 180 on this as well to expose the back of it. Now that the LCD panel is flipped, we can see the 40-pin connector that is feeding the data to the LCD. This here kind of clip just will slide out that direction, and just firmly but gently at the same time pull it out. And there you go. Now this old LCD panel, which is broken, is now free from its trappings. Here I have the broken LCD and the new LCD supplied by ScreenCountry.com. One last step here is you're going to want to take the hinges and frame off of the old LCD and place it on the new one. It's done simply just with a screw here and a screw here. So at this point I have the hinges and the frame back on the new LCD. From this point forward, I hope you remember everything we did to get here, because now you're just going to work in reverse. Just going to connect the power cable, or sorry, the power button cable. And of course you want to reconnect the ribbon for the touchpad at this point. Now that the keyboard is back in, I've pinched together the edges here. I've put the two screws back in the keyboard. I'm just going to put this aesthetic piece back on, which hides the screws just above the function keys there. And now I'll put the screws into the bottom of this unit, and it should tighten everything back up. Put the hard drive back in, the RAM back in, the CD-ROM back in, and the battery back in. And that's when you're going to fire it up. And here's the laptop all put back together. I'm going to fire it up for the first time and check out the nice screen on it. Once again, this video was made on behalf of ScreenCountry.com, where I purchased the LCD. They had excellent shipping time. I talked to them on the phone. They're really good guys. I definitely recommend checking them out when you need your LCD.